Hey, welcome to another Heart Center Marketing Show. My name is Joey Ragona. It is already July 2nd or the Q3 for 2024. Welcome. Hopefully, you're doing amazing in this 2024 round of business for you. We're here to talk about all things marketing and business growth. Today, I want to discuss a really important topic when it comes to the people that you're working with. And I learned this from Dan Sullivan, and I want to give him full credit for this. And most of the notes that I've taken is all from Dan Sullivan. I'm going to give you the book as well that I'm talking about when it comes to this. And we're talking about multipliers and simplifiers. Those are the two main areas or two areas of business where you fit into one of those main categories. So I'd like to have this discussion with you so you understand where your superpowers lie, and it'll help you find the opposite of what you are. In other words, I'm a simplifier. And when I want to grow the business, I need a multiplier. That doesn't mean that you need to be a multiplier only to grow the business, because actually multipliers need simplifiers just as much. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So please let me know in the chat or in let's get rid of some of these notices here. Hey, Chris, thank you. All right. You're already on top of it, my friend, already on top of it. Thank you for being here live. If you are here live, let us know by hashtag live or hashtag replay in the comments section. And if you're in Facebook group, I'm going to do my best because I always have challenges with the actual or seeing the actual live, because Ecamm took away the ability to see the comments coming from Facebook, my Facebook group. So if you're in my Facebook group and you're asking questions, I might have a little bit of a challenge seeing that. Let me just see here. I'm going to mute that. I'm going to go over here. I don't see anything coming in from my side. So I apologize if you are on the Facebook group and asking questions, which is what I'm totally looking for. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate you. I won't be able to see you. So let's see here. Yeah. Anyway, so what I want to talk about here is, let me give you the differences between the multiplier and the simplifier in the most simplistic way. Go figure. The simplifier wants to give you the most simplistic way of looking at things. Simplifiers are people who basically explain and simplifies complex problems. They break them down into chunks, into manageable chunks. That's why when I'm dealing with clients all the time, by the way, 95 or 90%, 85 to 90% of my clients are all multipliers. They all have big visions. They all have a lot of stuff going on, apart from just being a regular ADD entrepreneur like me with multiple of ideas. They're multipliers. They see a lot of big vision and they're tripping over what's in front of them all the time. And that's my job, is to get them to look down and tell me what you're tripping over. So you're looking at the horizon all the time and you're walking, but you seem to be falling. And then when you get back up, you don't look down, you keep looking forward, and you take another step and you fall down again. And that's the best analogy that I have for it, because it's not that I don't look at the horizon myself as a simplifier, but I'm always looking around on the ground, like what's happening around me, what's in proximity of obstacles or things that I need to get around in order to hit the horizon. So sometimes, and many times I should say, I have challenges to how big can this thing really go, right? That's what a multiplier does. A multiplier is someone who amplifies what you have going on. They take innovations or the new thing that you've designed and be able to bring it to the masses. That's their job. But they need something that is in a working progress, or not a working progress, that it's already working. So example of this would be somebody who is an expert at Facebook ads, let's say, who you want to scale your business. If someone really knows their stuff in Facebook ads, there's not very many of them, right? So the experts in Facebook ads, the first thing they're going to ask you is, show me your working process. They're not there to just, let's throw some money and try to get leads in and all these all these other things that they're looking to amplify what's already working, making them look good, making you look good, making everybody money in the process. That's just one example. So a lot of people will go in and hire people to try to build the business, and on Facebook ads, let's say, and this is not a Facebook ads example, focus, but just for this example, and that is you could do that. But what a multiplier, what their job is, what their superpowers is to, okay, you've taken this as far as you can go, like it's working, everything's good, but you don't know how to amplify it, and that's what they do. So that's what a multiplier does. A multiplier is looking out into the future and looking at all the avenues and all the things that you could do. Where simplifiers take all of the mess and the ideas and all these things and say, okay, let's start at ground zero here. Like, where do we start with number one and piece it all together to make it into a working process to then give it to a multiplier? Good to see you here, Collie. Thank you for being here. And thank you, Chris. Chris, like the Indians, they used to, where is it here? Let me make that a little bit bigger. Yes, like the Indians, they used to go on the ground and make medicine wheels to pray for rain, for example. I don't know how to connect that one, but okay. I'm not going to argue with that one. Cool. So, which one do you think you are based on what I just said? Let me know if you're here live or even in the replay in the comments. Which one are you? Are you a multiplier? Do you see yourself as a multiplier, or do you see yourself as a simplifier? So I'm going to go into a little bit more of specifics here. So, so characteristics of simplifiers. I've got some notes here that I just wanted to make sure that I get these right. And when I was doing the research for this, or just putting some notes together, I looked at the simplifier and I thought to myself, am I really a simplifier? Because I'm going to read some things here to you, and it's totally not what I do, but there are other parts of it that is totally me. So you don't have to fall into exactly the description of it. Like, where do you lean more? Like, what are more of your traits when I'm giving you these examples or the characteristics? So simplifiers are known to distill, like I said, complex problems into manageable pieces. That's me, for sure. Throw me a whole bunch of stuff and let me at it. Like, let me just move things around, post-it note, like whatever it is. Like, just let me figure it out. I will get to the simplicity of it. This is the part that doesn't align with me. The simplifiers are methodical, they're detail-oriented, which I am totally not. And again, maybe I am. Maybe I'm not seeing something that others do. So maybe if you're a client of mine, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm detail-oriented. But maybe somebody says, no, you are detail-oriented. It's just that how you get there is different than some other people. So again, simplifiers are methodical, detail-oriented. I guess I'm methodical. I do things in steps, and they're highly organized. So again, I don't consider myself highly organized, but some people would look at me and think, yeah, dude, like, you're really organized. But when I look at my stuff and I got so many terabytes of information all over the place, and like, where did I put that? I don't think I'm organized, but who knows? And by doing this, it enables them to create actionable plans from complicated ideas. Now, speaking to that, again, I'm correcting myself as I'm going through here. So, speaking to that, I mean, in the past year and a half or so, I've been really focused on getting more organized with Notion. And today, about 18 months later, whatever it is, I do find myself being able to create clearer action plans based on the details and the organization that I've done in the past 18 months. So maybe when you're inside the weeds, inside the picture, and you're the picture and you can't see the picture frame, you see it differently than everybody else does. So those are, and this one, okay. So this one here for a simplifier, one of these I'm totally not. Maybe. Simplifiers are often patient and persistent. I don't know if I'm patient or not. Persistent for sure. Patient, I don't know, but maybe I am. Maybe I'm patient in a different way. By being consistent and being with my clients and holding their hand and being patient that it's going to, however long it takes them to get to wherever they need to go, I'm always there. Maybe that's the patient we're talking about. Again, like, it's all about the context of how you're seeing it. So maybe I am all these. I'm going to come back to the characteristics. Do I have one of the multiplier? Let me just see here. 1 second. while I do that. Dun, dun. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm just looking at some of the notes here. And going back to Lorna. What do you thank you for being here live? Lorna. So you have a split personality. I think that a lot of us do. I'm a simplifier when I help others. I get organized. I get the organized thing. I often have people say I'm very organized, but they don't see my back end. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like my desk right now is still a mess. It's still a whole. Look. You can see right there. Look at the files. Look. But I mean, I guess that's kind of organized. I don't know. It's kind of there. So I guess it's kind of like this. It's not a black and white thing, but I'm looking for more of where do you mostly live? That's what I'm asking the question for everyone. Like, where do you mostly live? I'm totally in the simplifier zone. Is there such a thing as reflexive, meaning an individual is both? Yeah, like that's what Lorna was just talking about. I don't know if there really is. That's a really great question. I think that you could play in both of those areas, but where's your strength? Where do you lean? That's what I'm looking for. So I can spot a multiplier from a mile away. In a simplifier, I can spot them a mile away because everything or most of what they do, or most of what they talk about, their characteristics, all of that stuff, their mindset is in one of those zones. When I go through this stuff today, maybe it'll help you understand where what I'm talking about, like where you lean more. Okay. Do you see the comments? Yeah. So if you're doing this from my business page, are you, Lorna? Let me know. Those are the ones I'm seeing. So this has to be on my business page. So tell me what I am, Joey. I don't know yet, Lorna. I mean, dude, I don't know, Lorna. I think you're a simplifier like me, but let's go through this. Let's go through the characteristics of a multiplier. So a multiplier is a visionary thinker. They're known for the ability to see big picture and envision future possibilities. That's what they have. They excel at identifying opportunities and growth event for an innovation. So they look at all of so they could take an innovation or a product or something and say, this is where or how we're going to grow this into the next big thing, whatever it is. They're the driving force behind big things, big projects, initiatives. They're risk-taking. They are not afraid to take risks and experiment with new ideas. They understand failure is a part of the learning process and willing to push boundaries. They are inspirational leadership, which means multipliers have the ability to inspire and motivate others. So they get a team around them. They have a common goal. They're encouraging creativity. Like I'm kind of in that zone, but that's not where I live. Like I just do not. I don't think I'm an inspiring leader, but I want to gather a team. I want to get people around me. I want to help them, but that's not really where I live every day. But I do make rapid decision making, which is another part of a multiplier. So multipliers, they make really, really quick decisions and rely on their intuition and experience. See, so when I read this, I'm like, to the questions here, Lorna and Chris is like, can you be both? There's this distinctive, and I'm both. Like I'm a lot of these things. I make rapid decisions. I totally go with my gut, and I'm relying on experience, intuition, all of that stuff. But I don't consider myself a multiplier. I could be wrong, but I believe I'm a simplifier. So let me continue. They have networking skills. Multipliers, often well-connected individuals, can leverage their networks and build partnerships and alliances. That ain't me. Like I am not a networker person. They know how to bring together the right people and resources to support the vision. Like that's not who I am. I have a lot of really, really good connections, but am I the facilitator of that? I don't know. Like I'm learning to be better at it. Maybe it's you. Maybe that's who you are. They have scalability focus, which means that they're always looking on how to scale ideas and innovations. This is what I mean. And I don't mean if you're listening to this and you're always thinking like, okay, how do I scale? How do I scale? That's a mindset. That's a question. But if you don't have all of these other pieces in place, are you truly a multiplier? Are you truly that? Or are you just looking at, I want to scale, and that's why you need a multiplier. So you're like, that's why I, as a simplifier, I believe, when I want to scale Atlas, that's not my zone of genius. It would be go to go to a multiplier who has whatever they have, the network, they have the skills to run the ads for Facebook or whatever. They have all of those things where I could take, this is already working. Here's how how it works. Now let's scale this thing. They're resourceful. Multipliers can take most of available resources and find creative solutions to overcome challenges and constraints. So entrepreneurship to me has a lot of constraints. It has a lot of challenges, but it's a different thing than multiplying. It's not taking things to the next level. It's getting through to get to the first level. That's where that's where my zone of genius is like getting through all of the crap, all of the downsides, and continuing to go and finding, still getting through constraints, but not to the degree of actually amplifying the thing to its next level. They are adaptability. So multipliers are flexible. They can adapt to changing circumstances. That is me for sure. I can adapt to changing situations, and they thrive in a fast-paced environment. That's not me. You see what I mean? So there's a difference between the adaptability where you can adapt in a fast-paced environment. Like I do not like speed around me, like things going on like all the time. Like I'm a speed of implementation person. Like let's get this thing going. But if there's all these things happening around me, way too many things, it's too complex. It's too many things going on, and I'm like, whoa, slow down. Like let's simplify this, right? So that's where I live. I don't know about you. And then there's another one here, resilience. This is another one where I think I'm part of this. Multipliers possess a high level of resilience and perseverance. They're determined to overcome obstacles and setbacks. That's totally who I am. Maintaining focus and drive even in the face of challenges. Totally who I am. So like what these are is, there's a combination of multiplier and simplifier, but out of those, which one is it? If you had to pick one, I know you're both. Which one would you have? If you had to choose one, Chris, which one would you choose? That's the whole discussion. So, and here's why I'm suggesting that you define who you are. Because when you are caught in the middle of something and you're like, well, I'm this and I'm that, I'm this and I'm that, I'm this and I'm that. Not only just this, with everything, I think that you're ignoring the superpowers that you have. And I'm just talking to everybody, not you, Chris, but like everybody listening to this. And by the way, if you're listening to this, hit the hashtag live or hashtag replay and let me know, please. You ignore the superpowers. Like there's a lot more power in defining what you do best, or where you're mostly in what zone or whatever personality trait or whatever it is that you're trying to define. Where is it that I actually fit if I had to choose one of these? And then focus in on that area. Once I did that, like this is why this book is super, super important to me. By the way, let me give you the book here. I'm going to give you, the links to buy this book. Like this is the Kindle version, by the way. And it's like $2. Like, it's such an incredible, there's both, that's the US one, this is the one for my Canadians. There you go. By the way, those are my Amazon links. So if you buy them, I might make like 2 cents out of this. So just letting you know. Okay. I usually don't put links in there, but every once in a while. Yeah. Hey, Charles. Oh my God. Look, my man, Charles, look us in the house, man. Thank you. I think you're an interesting combination of both, Joey. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. I think so too. I think that every one of us is this interesting combination of where it is. And even with the unique ability, I sent out questions to people like, where are my unique abilities? And then they list all these different things. But I found that most of the things that I do are sitting in that simplifier area. This is what you do best. You just narrow down to the one thing, get this thing done. And then, but yeah, man, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Charles, good to see you, man. Hope you're doing great. Magnifier. Okay, wow. Okay, cool. So there you go, Lorna. You've identified who you are. You're a multiplier. I'd love to know why. What do you think sets you apart as a multiplier? That you think like, no, that's me. Yeah. Okay. So this is what I want to talk about. This is why I'm saying it's so important to know this, because once you understand what your role is, like your primary role, I think that's a big word, primary role, because it's not, Dan is not saying you can't be both. He's saying, what's the primary? And so if the primary role, if you know what that is, then you can collaborate with the other side that you need to amplify the business. Once I figured that out, or I didn't figure it out, I read it. Once I realized it by reading this, I'm like, man, that's why I struggle so much in this area. Or when I go to a seminar that is all about future focus, and nothing wrong with that stuff, like nothing wrong with it. But I sit there and I'm trying to do exercises based on what would you like in 10 years from now? Okay, now let's do the 7-year thingy or whatever. And I struggle with that because my brain is focused on what's happening now, like what's happening around me. And it's kind of like there's this fog. Like I can kind of see the 10-year there. I'm like, dude, like, let me just clear away the fog here so I can see that a little bit clearer. Like there's all this stuff over here that I gotta clean up, right? Let's clear away the smoke. Like that's me. And once I understood that that's how I operate, it's great. It's not that I can't go through the fog a little bit or go through the smoke and kind of go, okay, this is cool. Like let's and if I'm in that zone and do stuff. But I don't live there. But I can still collaborate. I can still have conversations with someone about that. That's why this conversation is super, super important. Okay, let me get to those questions here and see if I can answer some of these things. So Christopher says, why do I have that? Oh, there it is. I was like, sorry, man. Okay. It's helpful to use them as tools, not necessarily to have them conform to a mindset. The more one uses these things as a tool to get the job done, simplify is great. Multiplying is helpful and useful as well. Yeah. Like I said, it's for me personally, it's understanding where my strengths are, where do I need to focus. It helps me grow the business. It's helped me. That's from the last, 40 years of struggling to grow businesses by trying to be everything. It just didn't work for me. And then with this information and even more, it was like, okay, great. I'm just going to stick to this. And it doesn't mean I don't follow into the multiplier, but trying to like be that everything to myself was really, really difficult. So I want to be a magnifier, not a multiplier. So yeah, magnifier. Yeah, cool. You can write a new book. Evidence is attention to details. Case in point. Yeah, attention to details. Okay, cool. All right, that's cool. Attention to details. I'll have to watch the replay and listen to the characteristics again. I can go through some of them. So let me give you some characteristics here. So here's the simplifiers. The simplifiers, they distill complex problems into manageable chunks. Okay, that's one thing. Simplifiers also have analytical skills that allow them to break down intricate processes. Now that one, when I look at it, do I have analytical skills? Maybe I do. I've never thought of myself as an analytical person. But now if I really think about it, like looking at that and saying, all right, so when I look at Atlas, because it says like analytical skills break down intricate processes to identify the essential components. Chris just asked a question today inside the Facebook group about how I want to do all these things. I want to try to understand Atlas and all the things going on. And like, okay, wait a minute, dude. Like there's only 5 things that you need to understand, right? So that's me going into, I guess, an analytical process to say, yes, there's all of these things, the superpower matrix, the circle of chaos, the DNA, the blah, blah, blah. But all of it basically means you only need, it all filters down into these 5 things. So I think that's what that is. And then simplifiers are methodical, detail-oriented, and highly organized, which enables them to create clear, actionable plans from complicated ideas. So I'm getting better at that, actionable plans of all that, because now I'm focused on, that's my superpower. Skilled communicators, that for sure. Like I'm dang good at communicating. I didn't mention that one. So simplifiers are dang good at communicating, capable of explaining complex concepts in a way for others to understand easily. Now that may take me a couple of tries, but that's where I'm good. Like I will try every way. That comes back to the persistence of the multiplier, but I will try every way from Sunday to try and get someone to understand and make it easy for them to understand. So I might not get it right the first time, but I'm always going to do that. So that's where the patience and persistence comes from, I guess, in the simplifier. So those are the main traits. Okay, Lorna and everybody else. Those are the main traits. Now, the multiplier is a visionary. So they can look at the big picture and envision future possibilities. but that's where they live. I'm not talking like this is not the where just because you're a simplifier, you can't do that. But do you live there? Are you always looking at that? They're risk takers. Now, how multipliers are risk takers. They're also inspirational leaders. So they can rally a team around them, a common goal, encouraging creativity, all that. They have networking skills. They have rapid decision-making processes. They have a scalability focus, which means they're always looking on how to scale the idea. How do I take this idea right now and make it even bigger? Resourceful, so they can make the most out of available resources. They don't go in and say, well, if you want to scale this, we need to get an injection of like $10 million to do this. That's not what they're about. They're like, no, here's how we're going to do this. Their adaptability, which means they can adapt to changing circumstances, and they thrive in fast-paced environments. Maybe that is you, Lorna, because I know that you're a 911 operator. Maybe you are a multiplier. I could be wrong. And adaptive. So they have strategic thinking. I didn't talk about that one. They can plan long-term while managing immediate tasks. That's a big one. A multiplier. This is why I need multipliers in my business, like my personal assistant. That's a multiplier for me because they're looking long-term, or, hey, in the next 2 weeks, you're doing this, but they're in the immediate as well for me because I'm like somewhere in between all that, right? And resilience. So what do you think now, Lorna? I think you're a multiplier too. What is the center point? I don't know what that one is. That's a really good question. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if there's a center point. Um, I think that whatever I was just talking about there, like when you read the book too, you'll get a little bit more insight because I'm just rambling this stuff off. But I think that it's, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. I don't even know if I would want to be in the middle. I don't want, I used to think that I was, I guess I didn't know I wanted to be there, but I wouldn't advise anybody to be there. If you're asking me, how do I balance both of those things? I would be advising against it. I would say, no, you need to choose one area where you are going to focus. That would be my example. So this is the reason why. Okay, so you need this because when you bring a simplifier and a multiplier together in a room, that's when everything explodes. If you got two simplifiers in the room or two multipliers in the room, there's still snags. I can tell you this because, like I said, most of the people that come to me are multipliers. They have so many things going on, and they are frustrated that they can't get things to where that they need, to where they see them in the future or envision it, because they haven't simplified the first steps. That's why they're failing. And so they need simplifiers. They need people to pull them back and to say, what's the first thing you got to do? Right? So I want to drive my car. I need to get groceries. Great. Then why aren't you getting groceries? I just don't know how, I can't get there. Well, let's get in the car and let's drive to the, well, I can't get in the car. Well, where are your keys? Let's get your keys. You see what I mean? It's like this simplicity where, like, well, I just need to get the groceries, come back, or I need to cook a big meal, and I can't cook the big meal. Did you go to the grocery store? Did you buy the food? Like all that stuff. So all of those things, the big vision of, I want to have this big meal for these 25 people that are coming over, but stuff's not happening. And I'm really frustrated. Did you go to the store and buy groceries? No. Well, then let's go to the store and buy groceries, right? Well, how do I get to the store? Do you drive? Do you have a car? You see what I mean? It's a simplistic idea or analogy, but that's what I deal with all day long. And it's not that multipliers are dumb or stupid or anything like that. It's just that they have this big vision, and they're not caught. They're looking over what they're tripping over, and I'm about, how do I simplify this process to make sure that all of those things are taken care of, that you're not tripping over them. That's why a simplifier is super important to a multiplier, and vice versa. Because there's a point where I get to building something. I'm just going to look at a business, building a business to $100,000, let's say. And after that, it's like, am I really good at making that person go from 100 to a million? Maybe not. Maybe that's not my superpower, but I've got you there. I've got you the process. Now take it to this person over here and they'll take you to a million, right? But if you go to the $1 million person, their first thing they're going to say is, okay, give me your process. Let me look at your process. And they're going to see it and they're going to go, what? How am I supposed to scale this? How are we supposed to make $1 million? You don't even know, right, who your dream client is. Or have you ever transformed anybody? Do you have any results whatsoever with the thing that you're doing? You have all this clarity over here and you have all this marketing, you have a website, you have all this, but where's the results, right? They're just being like, I can't do anything with this. That's where my genius is, like getting you to those pieces in the context of building the business. So Lorna, yep, multiplier, but the simplifier characteristics I had all but methodical and organized. Yeah, so you're gonna have a hell of a time, Lorna. Read the book and let me know after that which one you actually are. Do you think if you chose a multiplier perspective or mindset or a simplifier perspective or mindset and we're striving towards a center point but failed every day to get there, that it would help someone? Okay, so that's a really good question, Chris. Thanks for asking this. I think it hinders somebody to try to get to a middle point, to try and bring all of the components together. This is why, even when it comes down to niching or specifying what you do, has negative impact on the business when you do everything, because nobody really knows exactly what you're doing. And so imagine that. Let me try to give you a real world example from my life now, building the team, personal assistants, and all that. So the more I work with attracting or bringing on people into my team, the more I learn about where my superpowers are or what I'm looking for, which is defining, this is who I am, simplifier, and this is what I need, multiplier. Now, I could say, well, I'll do that. I'll do that part of it, and you just do this part of it. Whereas, no, I'm like, no, that's not what I'm really great at. So it's not that I could live in the I could do this and try to balance it all out, but that's not where I can grow. And I'm telling you this only from experience because I've tried it for 40 plus years. It's like, I could do all of that. I'm good. I'm kind of good. I'm sitting here. But now it's like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm like over here. Even when I'm looking at an example of, so the personal assistant, like, so one of the questions I said is this, like, I go, okay, so are you organized? Are you detail oriented? Are you on top of things? Da, da, da. So they said yes. And then I go, okay, well, what happens if I give you something to do and then, no, I tell you I'm going to do something, like give you a project or something, and I don't. Like, what's going to happen? And they tell me. So what I'm looking for is an answer, something to this. Well, I'll be asking you, like, where is it? Like, so what I mean? Like, not an hour later, because I don't want that, because that'll bug me. Because if someone's with that detailed or that on top of things, that is annoying. So I have to understand that. But that's a multiplier. That's someone who's like, Joey, you didn't give me this project or this thing, so I can't do the thing for you over here, right? So they're very detail oriented in that way. And that's what I'm looking for. Someone who's forward thinking. So, but that's where I had to let go of the fact that, no, I can hold all that in my head too. I can get on top of things and know where my multiplier brain is. That's why I'm saying, Chris, to me, I'd rather let that go. I'd rather say, no, I'm no good at multiplying. I'm no good at, looking at the future. I don't want to deal with all that. You figure it all out, because then I can go into my zone of genius and simplify and do what I do best without thinking about it. I don't know if that really answered the question, but I believe that the center point of anything is going to cause problems. If you've ever seen me talk about do I have my iPad? Maybe I can draw this out. Maybe this will work for me. If you ever see me talk about the mediocrity line, let me just see if I can do this. Come on. And this might help you with the center line. So let me see if I can get this going with notability. New. Okay, so go to my old fancy thingy here, and let's see if I can. Yeah, double click for a camera source. And I don't have I don't have that connected. Let me see if I can reconnect this guy and see if it'll work. Okay, there we go. Perfect. All right, all right. Okay, here we go. So this is the mediocrity line. And I always give my friend Rich Sheffrin credit for this because he's not the one. I don't think he made this up, but this is what he drew one time in 2012 for me after seeing or hearing this a billion times before from other people. And he drew this on a piece of paper. And I totally got it. So in a mediocrity, this is mediocrity. This is mediocrity in the middle. And the mediocrity is where we try to please everybody, right? So we talk about, I'm going to talk about this one thing that I'm really, really passionate about, but as soon as somebody starts saying something that's negative or whatever, we kind of move back to mediocrity. So in other words, we start moving this way. We're starting to talk about something, but then people say, no, you can't say that, or I disagree with you, and we bounce back to mediocrity, and we kind of try to balance everything out. We try to make everybody happy, and that's living in mediocrity. Same as like you said, living in the centered line. Now, there's a difference because you have this thing over here, like the hate, and then you've got the love over here, right? And this is my language, by the way. This is live on the left. Live on the left, which is moving. So let me get rid of some of my ugly stuff here, which means that you are moving more and more towards living on the left. So when you hear me say stuff like living on the left, that's what I'm talking about. Is like standing up for what you believe, stepping into your superpower, being a simplifier, right? Simplifier for me, and then multipliers down here. Not that the multiplier is a bad thing in this example, but I'm moving away from being a multiplier, right? Because that's not who I am. It's not who I am. But back to the analogy for a second. So let me get rid of this, right? So there's people, is the more you move away from mediocrity, the more haters you'll get, the more flock, the more people talking. And most humans, like, we just feel this pressure. We just feel this pressure point over here. We're like, no, I got to get back there. I just don't like all this pressure from all these people over here. I don't like it. So we come back and we start living over here to make everybody happy. And then your question, Chris, relating to this is you're trying, maybe your brain wants to be happy. Like, well, no, I don't want to choose, or I don't want to, I don't want to be a simplifier or a multiplier. So how can I be both? How can I be, both, or either a simplifier or whatever it is, simplifier or a multiplier? Which one? And then you leave the other ones here. Leave the opposite over here. So this is what the mediocrity line is. So most people, like I said, they live in mediocrity. They try to keep everything balanced out, and that's why they never advance. So if you look at the line, and you can look at anything in history, that the more people have stood out, they're what I call living on the left. They've moved towards what they love. They're passionate about it. They're in their superpowers. People in history, you look at Apple, look at Steve Jobs, look at even on the downside of it, look at what Hitler, whatever you think, like, not a good dude in history, but still moved towards his living on the left, right? Not that it was a good thing, but you know what I mean? Like, it's moving away from what everybody else. So like all these people in history had their moments, and same as this is like, you need your moment. You need your moment to not only move into the left, living on the left of whatever you decide is what you're passionate about and what you stand up for, which is a whole marketing thing. But in this case is, where's my superpowers? What am I doing? What do I live in that I could focus in on and not worry about what anybody else thinks, or that I need to be that other thing too, right? Same thing is, as an entrepreneur, I'll give you an example. An entrepreneur, how many entrepreneurs can you find that will tell you, no, you need to be in the 5 a.m. club. You need to be up early and you need to be doing this. I am totally living on the left away from that. It's not that I'm against it. It's just that that's not who I am. And so if I stay in mediocrity and think, okay, yeah, I'll do that. I'll wake up a couple. It's not where my superpower is. And I'm not living to the fullest degree of who I am. Make sense? What did I miss? Okay, so I think it's Lorna. Think of a multiplier, but the simplicity. Oh, yeah, so we already got that. I think, Chris, you're asking a great question there. I think I got that one. I think the strategic thinking that multipliers have might look like simplifying. Yeah, like I'm learning with you, Lorna. Like I thought that, okay, well, I thought it was strategic thinking, and maybe I'm wrong. Like, so maybe it's not strategic thinking, it's more analytical thinking. And so I had it all wrong. I'm learning right now that I never thought I was an analytical thinker. Maybe I truly am, and maybe not strategic. Maybe I'm more analytical, break it down, analyze things going on. Okay, what do you need to do here, right? That's a different vibe, a different thing of actual strategic thinking. Maybe. So I'm glad I always do these things because I always learn. So Collie, hey Collie, good to see you. Why is my mouse not working? There we go. So very, very true. That is why I'm pulling back by only doing your Atlas Kickstart. Thank you. Doing this now, and I will have a few weeks to do. So I got a place where I do not have such harsh expectations of myself. Thank you, Joey. Thank you, Collie. Thank you for that amazing testimonial. Thank you for being here. What does the line represent as a spectrum? I don't know, just a balance. That's what the line is. It's just the middle ground. One is left, one is right, like far right, far left, or yes, no, love, hate, and in the middle. Whatever representation. Hopefully I got that. I like to see it the other way around and flipping your sock example inside out. I don't know what you mean by that one. Hey, Charles. So the mediocrity line model is interesting. It can apply. Yes, it totally right, Charles. It's all about life. Like that's where it starts. It starts where in mediocrity, most people live in mediocrity. Like they'll never step out of it. You know, I'm not happy at my job, but well, you know, I'm going to go a couple more years and I'm just going to get retired. And, you know, I'll just live that way. I don't want to they're not going to take a risk, and this is really not what I want to do. So they just live in mediocrity. I am not suggesting or judging anybody, right, by saying that. That's just the way most of the world is. But entrepreneurs are not that way. Entrepreneurs are living, they're getting out of mediocrity. They don't go to the left, to the right. They don't go to the hate side. They go to the love side, and this is who I am, what I stand for, and this is how I'm going to change the world. Like they're out of mediocrity. They don't conform to norm. They don't do those things. And it's the same thing when we're talking about ourselves as what we do best in whatever facet of life. Like you said, is it life? Is it business? Is it anything? What is the thing that I do best? I want to go join a hockey team. Well, what's the best position that I play? Where do I want to hang out? What is the best thing that I can do? Am I a shooter? Am I a defense person? Am I a goalie? Like, you know, like what is it? So those are the things. Those are all about like, this is what I should be focused on. A lot of people, sometimes people look for unicorns. Like this person is an all around person. And I think as an entrepreneur, that's kind of where we sit a lot of times is like we're unicorns. And I'm not saying never sit there, like go in and like you can handle and talk about a lot of things, but then you pull back out and say, okay, this is now up to the team, or this is up to the multiplier or the simplifier. Like this is what I do. Like I navigate all that and I give the ideas to push the thing forward. Sometimes we got to get in that zone, but I don't believe we can live there. There's very few people, if anything, that's a true unicorn that can do everything, right? It's very, very difficult to find somebody like that. And even living there, just my opinion. I don't know if you agree or disagree. What about your elbow as a center point? Does that cause problems? I don't know what that means, Chris. Yeah, can you explain that a little bit better? Put mediocrity on the outside of the line. Put excellence on the inside of the pivot point of diameter. I think you're looking at a different drawing. Like again, this is me simplifying. That's what I mean. When I saw this drawing, you know, from it's just it was simple for me to understand it. That it was simple. That's why I think I'm a simplifier. You don't have to explain this to me, right? It's like, where do you live? Most people live right here. They try to balance life. They try to balance their friends. Oh, I don't want to make my family mad. I don't want to make my friends mad. Oh, that I put that Facebook group post up and people didn't like it. Okay, I'm going to take that down. I don't want to get anybody mad, right? And I'm not saying go out into the world and be a disruptor like a jackass about things, but that's what I mean. Like that's to me, Chris, this is a very simple model. Can there be another way of drawing this? For sure, absolutely. I don't know what you mean by it. Maybe you can draw it and put it up, but dude, like to me, this is pretty simple. Where do you live? Do you live in the middle or are you moving slowly towards the left? Are you standing up for what you believe? Did you quit your job and started to do the thing that you truly love, truly want to do? Do you, I don't know. In politics, are you on the left or are on over, like where do you stand for? Are you vocal about it? Like, I don't know. Whatever it is, that's to me, simplicity. I analyze situations, but I'm not a linear thinker. Yeah, same here. The crisis work I've done requires the ability to quickly analyze and can lead to quick decisions. Yes. I've read that many emergency services. So let me ask you this, Lorna. When you say you analyze, is it analyzing from your training? Like, are you going into, okay, I've known this and you're drawing from the information to analyze, or is it naturally analyzing? And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. It's just like being very clear on what your analytical skills are or what our analytical skills are. Like for me, that's where I think I shine because just give me a problem and I'll analyze it. That's why I get really frustrated when somebody, if I get a complex or a problem and somebody's impatient or somebody and they'll say, so, and they'll start talking to me. I'm like, quiet, like just leave me alone. Because I'm sorting parts out in my brain, right? Whereas another way of analyzing is, okay, let me pull from the information here, what's going on, asking analytical questions to get to the degree. Like that's another skill, obviously. But I don't know. So then if you didn't have those, that's what I'm asking. So if you didn't have those SOPs or checklists or training, would you still be able to analyze and get to the same point? So that's a question that you ask yourself to say, am I really a multiplier or am I a simplifier, right? Because those are two different analytical skills, I think. ADD. So I've read that many emergency services people have ADD. I think a lot of people have ADD, especially entrepreneurs. Personally, things overlap. Yeah. Don't get like, guys, this is not I don't want you to get caught in this personality thing either. Like this is me and that's not me. That's not what I'm trying to discern. And this is where I find a lot of problems too. And I was there where like, well, what am I? Like, where, what is this? We're all very unique. And the superpowers lie within a strength, like a zone. It's like you lean towards that. That's really where you shine. That if you could do that all day long, it would be magic. And that's what the superpowers are. That's what this is about too. Simplifier. When I read this and I'm like, oh my God, he just simplified everything for me. Like I'm either one, I got to choose one or the other. And I can have all these other things, but what am I? What am I? If I had to choose one of these, what am I? And right away, Simplifier came screaming out at me and it made my life a lot easier. So that's what these personality things are. Like, are you this? Are you that? I don't agree with all that. Is like, I'm more on these characteristics and this is what I do best. So try not to fit yourself into a box, but also know what your strengths are. So read Mediocrity lines. Stu McLaren has a saying, or where I first heard it. Love me or hate me, there's no money in the middle. Yeah, that's another way of looking at it, for sure. Cool. It's a great way of looking at it. So loving and hating, and there's no middle. That's what the mediocrity line is. It's like, I just called it a mediocrity line because when I first saw it, Rich was talking about, people never making a choice. Like they're just sitting and making everybody happy, things happy, not disrupting their life, like nothing like that. They're just sitting in that box of being mediocre about everything. So it's more about entrepreneurship, but it also has to do with everything that Stu is saying as well with marketing. I believe the analytical skills are natural. Cool. It's not learned from a crisis. Not learned from a crisis. There was in-depth skills and psychological testing to determine the skills. Fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah. Wow, what a great discussion. I don't know about you, but I learned a lot. So just by taking the notes and reading through some of these, I'm going, maybe I got to go back and reread the book. So we're talking about the Simplifiers and Multipliers, which is directly from Dan Sullivan's book, Simplifier-Multiplier Collaboration, and why you need both, and choosing which side you are leaning on, which is your best strength, where you mostly live, and then why you need the other person in your life. A great read. It's a short read. I highly, highly recommend it. Anything Dan Sullivan, I highly recommend, because he's like the OG. A lot of the stuff you hear from almost everybody else comes from like a Dan Sullivan, and many of the older, more experienced people. That's where a lot of the stuff comes from. So it's hard to like find like the true sources of everything. But Dan is truly one of the true sources of many, many things you hear online. So I want to give him full credit. Okay, so there you go. So that's about the Simplifier and Multiplier. Hopefully this added some value for you. Thank you for being here for another Heart Center Marketing Show. I am super, super grateful you are in my tribe, in my world. If you're not, by the way, let me just put that into the comments here. This is my... Is that going to give me my Facebook group? I don't know where my group thing is. Well, so be it. So I got to learn my new key codes and find out how to get that thing in there. So Lorna says, once we know what we are, what do we do with that information? I don't know. Step into it, Lorna. So look, if you're a multiplier, you need the simple answer is, if you're a multiplier, you need a simplifier. If you are a simplifier, you need a multiplier. But not necessarily you need them now. So if you're a simplifier like me, I don't necessarily need a multiplier right now at the point. However, it's important to know that when I'm looking beyond or looking at something or get inspired by someone or something else, I look at that and think, is that a multiplication issue or challenge, or is it a simplifying issue? And if it's a multiplication, I put it aside. It goes on the back burner. So it allows me to identify the opportunities and or distractions in my life. That's the easy answer. Now, if you're a multiplier and you're not getting things done, you definitely need to go find a simplifier, because that's not your superpowers. That's not in your zone of genius. It's not what you do well. You're just always looking at, okay, I want to do this thing. And then the simplifier would tell you to do things like, okay, do 1, 2, 3, 4. You're like, okay. And you understand it, but then you just leave it alone. Let's say you just went to a seminar or something, or you watched a webinar and you're like, that's good. All right. The next day you're going to be multiplying again. Okay, I need to do these 4 things, but how do I take that and do this over here? Like, oh my God. So that's what a simplifier, you need them in your life, him, her, in your life, because they're always trying to pull you back. I get that like almost every day. Almost every day I say, do these 3 steps. And then the person will say, I got it. But what about, I'm like, just slow down. Like, you haven't even done these 3 things, because a multiplier is so zoned into like, yeah, but what about this? And what about that? And what about this? And so if you're left on your own, to your own devices, then you're always going to be stuck, because you're not doing the one thing. As a matter of fact, now, Lorna, that I'm thinking about this, what I just said there, you're definitely a multiplier, right? Because you have those tendencies from what I know about you, love and respect. So that's what it is. It's like, yeah, but what about? You know, that's for everybody who's a multiplier. They're always looking at, what about the other things? And a simplifier is somebody who says, it doesn't really matter, just do this thing here. That's why, because you're an Atlas, almost everybody's a multiplier. And that's why they have trouble with it when they first go through, because they're looking at, well, Where's the big thing? Where's all the leads? Where's all this stuff happening? Or how do I put it together? What does Kajabi look like? And all these things. I'm like, just get this one thing first. And most of them have struggled with it for the first round, or maybe round and a half, 2 rounds, because I'm taking multiplier mentality and mindset and characteristics of who they are and bringing it down to a simplifier, which is what they need. That's why it works so well. But if I didn't have, see, looking at now the characteristics, if I didn't have the persistence and patience in that, then it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. So that's why, how you can use it. If you're a multiplier, you need to be working with a simplifier. You need to be working with them. And then when that simplifier helps you get to a process that is working and it's like a no-brainer, then you step in with your superpower and say, thank you, simplifier. I got this now. And then you take it and you go to the moon. Like, that's what multipliers need to be doing. Yeah, you're very welcome, Charles. It was so good to see you, man. We got to catch up. Thank you, man. 2 halves of a donut. Exactly, Chris. Like, that's it. That's truly it. Like, if you flip a coin, it can only land on one side. Which is the side you're landing on? That's it. That's a great analogy. You know, it's like you flip a coin, boom, what side are you landing on? What are you, heads or tails? That's it. It can't be both. At sometimes you can land on the other side, but most of the time in this analogy, when you flip it, what side do you mostly land on? That's what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for. Wow, thank you for allowing me to come up with the analogy because of the donut thing, man. That's great. I got to remember that. So I'm definitely a multiplier. What about? I thought those were analytical thoughts. Oh yeah, that's a multiplier. Yeah, the things that I was just talking about. Like, from what I know about you, Lorna, you are looking always at what's the next step. Yes, but. So you understand the concept or the simplicity of something, but then you're always like, but what about this other thing? Like, how do I do this thing? And what about that? And what about this? That's a multiplier mindset. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's just who you are and who multipliers are. Like, that's what I deal with, like, all the time. And so my job, that's why I know I'm a simplifier, because I can put up with it again and again. I can hear the same thing again and again and again. And I'm always saying the same thing. I got you, but slow down and do this one thing over here, right? Because if I was a multiplier, then I'm like, yeah, I got it. Okay, let's go. Let's figure all this thing out. Right? And then there would be no starting point. Like, okay, which one should we do first? Like, I don't know. And that's where I come in. Yes, enjoy the present moment is a completely, it is tied to it, but do the thing now. Like, so do the thing now. You can't, right? You can't build the house without the foundation. And that's what we're looking for. Like, if you want to build this scaffolding thing, you need, like, even if you're building a skyscraper, the skyscraper doesn't start out with the lobby. It starts out by digging a hole however many feet down in order to support the thing. So if you don't do that, if you don't dig deep and get to dig the foundation, you're screwed. And that's simplifying it. How many stories is it going to be? What's the penthouse look like? Like, that's a multiplier, right? Is there going to be a landing, a helicopter thing on top? What's the antenna going to look like? It's just, what's the paint colors? And dude, let's just dig the hole. Let's do that first. Yeah, exactly. We have almost the same exact Colby, but I know that there's a difference between us. And that's probably what it is. It's that vision, like that visionary thing that you see that are better at doing than I am. All right, cool. What an amazing conversation. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Now I got to get back to, like, simplifying my life and doing the things that I needed to go do. And any of you multipliers out there, keep me on the radar, because I'm going to be looking for you in the future. Thank you for being here. Love you all. See you next week for another Heart Center Marketing show next Tuesday. Have a good one.